behalf of New Horizon College, Marathavi, I, Alkasina, Assistant Professor, feel privileged to welcome you all to the 5-day National Faculty Development Program on Beyond the Horizon Expanding Mindset for Academic Excellence. Feedback is an integral part of the teaching learning process, but often we find ourselves how do we give honest feedback without discouraging our students? That's where the concept of radical candor becomes so relevant. It's about communicating with clarity while also showing genuine care, striking the right balance between empathy and honesty. With this insightful perspective, we now move to session 5 titled Radical Candor in Academic Feedback. And to guide us through this important topic, we have with us Dr. Bhanu Prakash R, Director, Consulting Services for Academic Institutions. Welcome, sir. Now, moving ahead, it is time to introduce our distinguished resource person for today. For this, I would like to invite Assistant Professor Dr. Madhumita Nayak to kindly take the stage and introduce our speaker. Ma'am, over to you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I take immense pleasure in introducing the resource person of the day, Dr. Bhanu Prakash R. Dr. Bhanu is currently the director at CSI, where he leads academic consulting and institutional development initiatives. He brings extensive experience in academic administration. He has held key leadership roles across institutions in Bengaluru, driving institutional growth, outreach, and stakeholder engagement. His expertise includes human resource management, entrepreneurship, curriculum design, e-learning innovation, and strategic planning. A PhD in management, he has contributed to resource through multiple Scopus and ABDC publications, along with patents and copyrights. He is committed to fostering teaching, learning, innovation, and building sustainable, future-ready educational ecosystems. Ladies and gentlemen, let us welcome the resource person of the day, Dr. Bhanu Prakash. Now, I would request Ms. Pallavi, Senior Assistant Professor, to welcome Sir with a sapling. Yes. Sir, the stage is yours. You can take over. No, I think they would give you a collar mic. This is not required. Is it required? Yeah. Where is Karthik?
Lalwani sir.
Is this on? Am I audible? Is this good?
No,
Oh, great.
this will be the live coverage.
Okay.
So we'll have participants on.
My PowerPoint is loaded.
Yeah, it is loaded. I will call this one. Lalwani sir. Loaded.
Okay, as they set up, we'll do a quick intro and why I am here and what is in it for you all as faculty. First of all, sorry for stretching and making it late. I was having a word with Bodhi sir. Both of us got carried away because of our long journey and gap in meet. Sir was one of my mentors, I think in 2010 when I was doing my graduation back in before I moved out of the country for my higher studies. And we're talking about the purpose of why I came into education, which is very important for all of us to learn, taking today's session also in consideration. So academically, I think this is a mix, right? Like in terms of programs, this is also commerce, science. Yeah, so I'm a commerce guy, management guy. I did my BCom. I did my diploma in banking and finance because apparently someone told me at that point in time, finance is the thing and it pays you very well. And if you want more package, you'll have to choose finance. And there are some other people who also told me, banking, life sorted. Every day you work till 4:35 and go home and you get all the leaves and there'll be a progressive pay structure and X and Y and Z and IABF and exam and all that. So I thought, why not mix both? And then the diploma in banking and finance, I joined and I completed it, grade A. But in the final year, I felt nothing like that is happening. Like finance, not happening, banking, it's not happening. In the exams, they're changing structure. People are fighting for language. They're fighting for caste in banking. And this is what is to be inclusive, this should be exclusive, and all those factors. But I had a very focal inclination towards what area do I fit in. And then I had to do a lot of self-introspection and intervention, scientifically that is, from my second year onwards, which said and proved both scientifically and by mentors who've been seeing me that I don't fit the finance or the banking framework. As a person, I will not do well in these two elements, which I realized by the time I came to my final year. And then where do I fit in? More of research, people management sort of an orientation. So I started applying to institutions as such. In India, we know the IIM bubble. Now I think it's faded, right? I don't know if students are still behind the IIMs so much of how it was 20 years ago of sorts. That time it was too huge. And I know some coaching center came to a college and said, there's a super long-term batch to clear CAT. What is super long-term batch? They teach you for 3 years to clear CAT. I mean, it still persists in some of the institutions. And I didn't want to do a quant-oriented progression, something in people management, because none of the IIMs, even today, are structured or a dedicated HR marketing sort of a degree. Their inclination is still to operations and general management. So the institutions were and still are left to me were only two. For HR, can you guess what were those institutions nationally? Faculties, mentors. I'm sure there's a mentoring system and student. No. Even now, no. They're not known for HR. They're not known for marketing. So for me, it was HR. And then I went and asked all my professors, and none of them had a clue where to go. There are only two institutions then and then even now, primary ones, XLRI in Jamshedpur. They're the ones who are inclined for TIS. Have you heard of it? These were the only two institutions. XLRI has that and TIS had TISNet, 2 entrance exams to be taken. And I took them and I cracked both of them. But somehow when I went for the interview, they couldn't answer my questions of how you're going to shape my career. They didn't. So I had to let off, and then I was looking at some of the institutions world over to apply as well, and I chose I want to keep it short. So I funneled and closed with University of Leeds in UK. I'm not sure if you've heard the research oriented. So Leeds was top 4 at that point in time, 2012, 11, 12 to 15. That's the phase where I went in. Because of my academic background here, I was the Scholar of the Year in the Maurice Cuthbert B School. I finished that. I came back to India. And again, because of the merit there, the British Council offered me a human resource program with London School of Economics. Since I was not able to go back there, I didn't want to rather go back and spend some more money for the British ecosystem. I chose to take it from here. The lead college was University of London. And my mother wanted me to do an MBA because my cousin did an MBA. My neighbor was doing an MBA. And she said, everybody's doing MBA. You have not done an MBA. I said, I have one master's. Like, it's good. It's love. But the MA has no value now in our country. And she discounted all of that, what was learned and achieved in that MA there. And she just narrowed down to it's just an MA. So, MA, what is there in MA? MBA, 3 letters. I said, Chalo, I'll do it for you. There was one, not executive MBA, it was done for professionals. The challenge there was that usually MBA is for how many years? 2 years, right? This MBA is for 3 years, 120 credits. Because I didn't want to stop working, I had to do that. And then I asked for a lot of bribe from mom. She didn't give me any of it. Motivation is required, right? In today's session also, we're going to be touching on how to be motivated. That was the era of smartwatches. There one smartwatch, she said, you come first, we'll see. She still thinks I said, okay, leave if you don't want to. But somehow I came first with a gold medal in that MBA also. Smartwatches did not come, that's a different story. Mothers and others, but yeah. So that MBA also happened. Then a lot of by then I already joined Center for Learning and Innovation by choice into the higher education ecosystem, close to around 14, 15 years ago. And the journey had started, a lot of accolades, professional diploma in institutions, UK, these are institutions where I could get a lot of knowledge from. I started working in the higher education ecosystem with institutions in direct and indirect universities, autonomous institutions, colleges. I think at least half a dozen of them regularly, another half a dozen of them indirectly in terms of support. I also have some background in venturing. I have 6 ventures, 2 of which I sold. Some of them I made money, some of them I lost money. Some of them are still retained, doing well, which is mostly into higher education or education and training per se. From the past 2 years, what I'm doing is what you saw as my profile. We started something called as CSAI, Consulting Services for Academic Institutions, in December 2020, when COVID was dancing on our heads. This is what we did because there was so much requirement and demand from the higher education institutions and the stakeholders like you to help them in a lot of parameters. This is about me quickly to draw clarity as to who is this guy, what is his background, why is he here to talk, why should we listen to him. All this I wanted to put in place. Not that because of whatever I've faced or learned, I have to tell you something and you'll have to listen to me, but because of the problems we've solved with our interventions, which I'll be giving you as a case as we proceed, real time, with names, without names, can be a mixture. But please share if you have any situation. I want it to be two-way, people sitting here and also from the online audience. Please share if you have situations and critical incidents so that we can make this outcome better. more than me speaking, if you give me the processes that you've been through, we can make the outcome better. Yeah. Okay. So since we are talking about feedback, ones in red, the culprits. Some of them might agree to it, some of them might not agree to it. What I'm saying is, we've had usually we do a 2-day, 3-day intervention with higher education leaders and faculty, where they be more open and then try to engage. Some of you might express, might not express, will not agree with a lot of stuff or some of these things. But in a way or other, they are culprits. It can be biased, most common problem area. It can be unclear. The second, feedback, why are you giving? That's the area where we try to have a problem. How do we go back in this? Okay. Okay. No, I figured out. Yeah, unscientific and irrational will go as we try to come for it. Now, I've divided this session in 2 layers. One is understanding the core aspect of, with some models, of course. I'll be able to give you off some models to carry with you. There are a lot, but of them is what I've achieved, depending on the time that we can map, if you want to put it to use. But before we start from here, have problems or confronting situations or disturbing scenarios with students, with your peers, or in staff room, in classroom, with respect to feedback? You were giving or receiving feedback. Uncomfortable scenario. Any situation?
So feedback here, management takes without our presence. It is conducted, it's directly shared, the user ID password shares the students, and with our database, they map the students and they get the feedback. We get the final print.
Which is shocking sometimes.
Yes.
Most of the times. Scenario. Amazing, sir. Good. Thank you for bringing that up, which also highlights the, in a way, challenge in the system. I would say weakness, because that's also required. But there's a challenge in progression, which I'll address. Any other scenario which...
Exit feedback available, sir. Exit interview.
That's for your knack and all.
When we are going, it's all done, sir.
Hmm.
When we are existing in the organization, I guess it will be.
Okay, what do you mean by where it's all done?
Saying instead of you have an existing.
Doesn't that happen during your appraisal? No, not at all. Do they have a full-fledged HR function? Okay, and what do they do? Salary. Deducting salary for leaves and late coming and okay. Have you given this feedback to them?
And I don't know whether they'll receive it well.
Whether they'll receive it well. Whether they'll receive it in the first place. Well or not well is later. Okay, great. Any other scenarios? One is with people leaving, with the HR function, feedback direct is taken and then shared to you. Anything else?
Direct relation, strict teacher, less feedback.
Feedback, yes, sir.
It is
When
only
you give
related
more
to
assignments,
no interviews.
feedback is as
Poor.
bad as it can be, sir.
And what is your solution?
Do that, and then again they are not doing well. So it's,
So feedback is basically directly related to the marks in academics.
Okay. So how do you solve it? Any thought solution to this? Individually you've thought, as a department you've thought, or as an institution you've thought?
So the thing is, if we become really good to them, the feedback will be top notch, but then the result analysis will be top down, sir. Up and down. So I don't know where to go, which side to actually go. Like, we want the good feedback also, but at the same time we do not want, like, if I see the feedback, I know I'm doing my best, but then the feedback is something like, yeah, it's negative. So then I wouldn't want that again. So
Also, sir, I
Makes
think
sense.
your feedback is very unclear. I
This
don't
is so it
want
comes
that.
under the category of unclear and biased.
Bias.
Hmm.
Not, yeah, bias. That is what she unclear because I really am not sure about the parameters that they are judging here. As she's saying,
Bang
and
on.
if you care too much, you're very much student oriented, you also get less feedback. And you try to bring new pedagogical way of teaching them also, then the feedback is also very shocking. So I really don't understand the parameters on which we are judged. Plus, I also believe there should be a student feedback from the teacher side, which never happens.
Yeah, I get that. But again, since you mentioned that institutions where we're trying to build that as into the system, the faculty always complains and it's too much load for us. Individually trying to sit and give everybody's feedback. To some extent, that halfway into the semester, some faculties don't remember the student's name. That is also a practical problem. How do we tackle that? So much.
So imagine a student not coming to the class at all is also getting the right to give the feedback.
That's a systemic issue, ma'am. See, that is a challenge which you can solve. I'm talking about challenges that you're mentioning, which you can't solve. The one you mentioned previously. I mean, you want results, but you also want to give them the enough kind of direction and knowledge in a particular format, but the feedback is poor and it's reflecting on your performance. So that's a challenge that we need to solve. That's why all this is happening. Systemic problems can be solved. These, the ones you mentioned earlier, the ones you mentioned, how do we solve? Said there. You'll see the last one. Sometimes, why I asked you this question is, most of the times, why we take feedback becomes important. Why do we take feedback becomes important. You said student feedback they're taking. Why? To know how you're teaching in a classroom, the format of how they've given, are they doing well or no? This is the reason. That's it. Good enough reason. Is that good enough reason? The institution to go to students and tell, okay, you talk faculty. Is it good enough reason to give?
Can be one of the parameters, but that should not become only parameter.
Exactly. So what are the other parameters? Have you known? Have you thought of it? Did you ask the management or the principal or the HOD? You have and not received answers?
And when we get good results, we are really appreciated. But then if the feedback is somewhat down, it's like improved. It's like that.
So in this sort of a unclear situation, the reasoning is that why are you taking feedback? Exit interview, you mentioned people are leaving, and then why are they taking feedback? They are leaving. Somebody says the problem, are they correcting on that problem? You know, you've left, no? Your friends are telling, like,
Yeah.
so in the first scenario, because of one of the supposed to be the reason of feedback is being the major reason, again, it's not complete in terms of purpose of why feedback. In the second, faculty, you're taking feedback and not being acted on, incomplete. That's the point which I wanted to highlight on. Even though it's in the end, it's the major reason, because the purpose of why you're taking feedback, if it's not well defined, it's going to be challenging. Now, how do we correct this? Because your faculty, I'll only talk about how you engage with students and what kind of feedback you try to. I've also seen or heard complaints from the principal officers, HODs and principals, that is, coordinators. Faculty directly threaten the students. More of feedback will come this week. I'll, even if it's sort of a threatening, or this is a direct threatening, or in a way, indirectly trying to put things in place subtly, sliding in and sort of bringing a awareness in the student's mind, or whatever sort of a factor. Is that good or bad? Come on. How? It's wrong. Ethically wrong. But when HR cuts your salary for being 5 minutes late, is too much ethically wrong. Good na. This ethical, you cancel. Oh, that's what apparently the managements or principal officers tell that. वैसा ही चल रहा है sir. So what are you doing for it? We are also being in tune with it. How do we map it? Keep in mind, again, as I said, this in two segments. We'll touch with faculty, we'll also touch with students. But there's a core module on how feedback is to be crafted. Why I wanted to start off with this is, please formulate your purpose of why you're taking feedback. I'd strongly encourage you and also probably push you to have scientific discussions within the department, since you said belong to all the departments, as institution with the head of the institution. Okay, because department subjectivity is different. Some of the departments will have, some of them have labs, some of them have extracurricular, co-curricular in a bit, so on and so forth. So the purpose of you culling the feedback becomes very important. How? What do you mean? Purpose of you? That should not be the only reason. What is the reason? I'm just to check teaching, you take feedback from the student. No. Some of the institutions also tell you 360. Do they do that in your lesson? One way to solve it is 360. So that's another gap. Even gaps, you have not applied that. In my opinion, it's cancerous. So add purpose. It should be a mix of things of why you collect feedback from the professor. And have you seen the feedback questions?
Yes.
Are you all happy with it? And for every batch, the same questionnaire is being shared?
Yes.
Do you think that's okay?
No. Some components have
Can you sense the gap?
all the classes, all the courses.
Is that okay?
Some components are not.
Well, like what, ma'am?
There is I don't know. There is a component where the student can say how punctual they are.
Function.
Yeah. 2 or 3 in that. I always go around like 1 to 2 within that 5 minutes of gap. In that punctuality also they said they like out of 5 they voted me 2.5.
Availability of teachers.
That is also
Availability. We are in the campus only. We are.
That is biased information from student side. They are not reading the question. They see it is, I'm filling for Miss A. So Miss A is true for me, so everything is true.
They will do mobile lab wherein everything is not visible. Use the test for this.
There are some questions
There is one student telling
there are 5 back, only 3 answers. That will not be answered because they don't scroll it. So we may
That's
not-
also a challenge.
Yes.
Again,
They
operational.
don't take it seriousness.
So have you, so this is institutional, right? This goes beyond departments. Have you together tried to solve this problem, especially the operational one? Like what ma'am said, you're doing it on a phone, they skip. Is there any effort in solving that?
reminders.
Not to the student, ma'am. It's an operational problem. Remember, it's reflecting on your personality, professional personality that is. And what is the action that you're taking to solve that?
So we ask the students to use the lab.
It's not at all the students. You ask the students to use laptop or tab. It's not their problem, ma'am. Nowhere, okay, chalo, fine. When they take admission, you give them a handbook. Is this mentioned in the handbook? that you collect feedback and this is the format and you'll have to take it.
The format is not mentioned. Regarding feedback, it is there.
And how do the feedback is captured and all is told?
We send a complete detailed message before the feedback process starts. Each thing out.
Admission. The handbook. Is the student informed that the feedback on the faculty will be captured and this is how we'll capture? You'll have to take it on your phone through your app or ERP or whatever. It's there. You tell them. And then this is the gap that you found later, that students are able to skip questions and they're not able to see properly and all that. So whose problem is that? Student's problem?
Mobile interface has to be changed.
Who's the decision, sir? Who has to tell the management? HOD. Principal. Chuck told me he'll be listening and then he'll make the notes. Yeah. Are you seeing the gaps that we are talking? Please take it seriously. I mean, I don't know how in the Indian perspective, I'm very carefully choosing my words. I didn't use Asian most of the times because of mindset issues. In the Indian framework of how feedback is treated, how enrollment is treated, interview is held, is a joke.
Yes.
I'm being very conscious about my words. Challenge me also. It's fine, depending on the intervention. Is a joke. With the gaps that we've discussed with all these parameters, and you not trying to solve those is a joke that you're cracking by yourself on yourselves. Student is the end. Will come to their problems, will blame them, tame them. That's a different sort of perspective. But how many of them, I mean, it might be the HR team or somebody, IQAC, they put a lot of burden, no? Is there an user experience mapped? Did somebody take on the phone, 5-inch screen, 6-inch screen, try to see if questions are skipped, it's covered? How many of you have done your PhDs? How many of you do research work? So many. You do questionnaire? Sometimes you check if the question is being perceived correctly by the respondent. Have you done that to your students? No. Unless you clear this ecosystem, on what basis should the management act? I'll tell you, sometimes even the principal and HOD will not know what's happening in the right sense. So please try to put some rationality onto the feedback ecosystem. If you are involved in interviews, student interviews, also faculty interviews, please include it there also. Because how you do it does 50% of the job. How you collect feedback is 50% of the job. For what you collect is the rest 50%. That's what I said. Why are you collecting put purpose? How you collect does the rest of it. And after these two derivatives, if the outcome is negative, please try to accept it. Because you've done your part right. Operational issues, as I said, people are collecting from ERP form. They're doing it in their, data, Wi-Fi, and all these are problems that can be solved. It's not your responsibility or not your problem. Nobody can blame you for this. But you need to sensitize the department or the ecosystem that this is a problem and ensure that there is a solution which you find for it. Most of the times people don't do it. They only say students have not done it well. I'm not telling you guys are doing it, but most of the times this will be the challenge. Rationality is the challenge, both from the feedback ecosystem as well as the receiver and giver. Change the feedback with your department head then together, see how it is done, look at operational problems, look at practical problems, students understanding it in the right way of the question being asked. I'll tell you why. Who drafted that feedback form? How do you think they would have got it? Practically, copy-paste. Today, ChatGPT. Something, let's say they have taken, which is the best institution in Bangalore? Any university, Christ, IIM. They Google, they find, they take it, remove one or two questions and then paste it. Possibility. I'm not telling they would have done it. Possibility. Students here and students there are safe. No? Then how do you expect them? This review should not be done. Who's doing it? Should HR do it? HR will do the operational review, grammar, sentence length, whether it's a toggle or a choice-based system, operational. Intellectually, who's supposed to evaluate this? Who should do it?
Specific departments.
You, faculty, either you belong to advocacy or you are the head of the department, you're coordinator of something, is an overall ecosystem. It's not that you have to only be in that role. If you're not and you bring this to notice, try to circulate this information. Bring the change by yourself, especially in recruitment. Wherever recruitment goes hand in hand, I'm mentioning, so that you keep that also in mind. Any thoughts on this? Any questions? Disagreements on whatever we discussed? So,
The time the feedback goes in favor of the institution, in favor of the department.
correct.
So if we bring in the stringent formation of the feedback, everything goes negative.
No, ma'am. See, that's what I said. Solve why it is taken first. To some extent, it's a subjective thing. You need more stakeholders to do that decision. What I'm seeing is you as a key stakeholder have failed in contributing to that decision. Here, I'm talking about New Horizon unit. Teachers as a key stakeholder. Who are the 4 key stakeholders? Student,
Teachers.
leadership. Your role in whatever discussed is the weekend. And it's about you. That's what I said, it's a joke. Your conscious involved, I'll tell you the challenge. You still not be there, so I don't want to go ahead. There are a lot of institutions who've done that, solved it properly. They also have a challenge. You know what? Guess. After doing what I'm telling you to do, also challenges will come. Can you guess? Each batch is different. The upcoming batch from close to a decade, 8 years, every is a different phenomena. This is the difference. First years of the full rub about the faculty. What should the management believe? That will be the next challenge. Okay, so please get involved and re-engineer or refine rather the feedback that is being taken on you. You have to get involved, the key stakeholder. Student is an operational thing. Management and principal officers, that's the leadership, have a subjective role to play. Is that clear? I don't see a problem there. I see an inception, irrational here. So once you solve that, the next step will be operations, as I said, how you collect, and you do a sort of a tester basically and see how it's taken. It solves most of the problem. There'll be other things which will derive later depending on the culture that we are sitting at. So at that point in sense, it goes in favor of management is not good. However, the feedback is they'll do what they want to do, you tell me, that's a different problem. But without solving this, pointing fingers at them is not acceptable. By the way, let me give you a disclaimer. Management hates me. Not your management. Any management whom I work with indirectly or directly hates me personally because I'm not a management guy. Before you think that this fellow is coming in talking for the management, I wanted to give you that disclaimer. And go back and check my profile wherever I work, how this fellow is. I've never been in favor of management because management is the same. In one way or the other. I am for 2 stakeholders, that's primarily students and then the educators. With epistemology, I'm telling you, solve that. I see a great weakness there. Any contention here? This is the core journey part of how the feedback should be covered. How did I derive at this? This is not something which is picked up from somewhere. Model. I'll show you those models also. This is a derived model of experiential practices. You guys have heard of City and Guilds? It's a UK body, professional training development body. They do a lot of intervention on education and workplace. So adopting some of those elements, well, that's largely for European region. Advanced HE, heard of it? They also do a lot of training, intervention, fellowships in the higher education. Adopt, implemented, customized to the in way of doing things. And then we've derived at this model. What does this model say? The 4 C's. First one is care. You will have to care when you're giving feedback. Care about what? Care for whom? Care how? We'll see all those elements. But you understand what is care, right? The meaning care. It's more to do with empathy. Like sympathy. There's a difference there, but more to do with empathy. Rely on care. The second important thing, which we started off also with as one of the challenge, clarity. There's no clarity only, sir. Students tell sometimes. So there's no clarity only in what she's teaching. Sir, there's no clarity only in what he is talking. They talk about this, about the faculty or the head of the institution or whatever. Clarity. What does it say? They're not understanding. When you give feedback, if you don't give it clearly, for 2 reasons. One, you don't want to be bad. Second reason, you don't know how to tell it. Let's say the principal or HOD calls you and tells, go and tell your friend or your colleague or whoever it is that they are going to be removed after this semester. How will you communicate this? Can anybody tell? He or this semester last, after that throwing out, go tell this. Can someone articulate this? How you'll choose your words and then tell it to your friend or colleague or whoever in your department? We are not?
Pointing out to each other.
HOD should take the decision. Then HODs only can share. How will you share to them?
Any profession is uncertain. We should look. Start looking for opportunities. Why don't you find out an opportunity? I have a reference. Why don't I refer you? You are more talented. I want to try once there also. Find out.
So much joy in people listening. They're enjoying this like a movie or an episode, sir. So frequent, this kind of conversation. Any other approach?
Person, whether we are he or she has been very much negatively impacting the institutions thing, then the tone would be different. If something, some other parameters which is so management.
Okay, I'll give you a situation, sir. Wonderful faculty, no problems at all. Their students like that faculty. They are very well behaved in the staff room. They support you also in your work.
That's a situation which is really which has happened to us just a year back. We instead of telling faculty, we went back to chairman and told, come what we were, that is a good faculty, we are not going to do. And we have given promising letter that things is not going to happen from that faculty again.
And you've retained the faculty. If it's a flip side, if it's a faculty who's troublesome and who's not up to the direction.
That would be with a proof of memo issued to them, and they have been warned 1 or 2 times. Still things are going back, then they are aware that they will.
So you'll tell it directly. But then what about the diplomacy you crafted?
No, you said, how will you deal it?
How will you deal it then?
We don't replace, we are straightforward.
Then whom for?
You asked, if at all, if you get a chance, how will you tell? That I drafted them.
So even in that situation, this is how you will tell. Like look for opportunity.
The first one, this you asked, how will you tell how will you tell other than directly telling? So I told it, but for our team, we don't discuss. And that's what till now it has not happened, but we have sent anybody out.
So what did all of us take away from this conversation? Key element. Any guesses? We're talking about clarity, and what did we take away from this conversation?
It's a final decision which they make it.
Clarity for what they have been sent or what they the purpose.
That's what we're talking about. But from this conversation, my question, how will you put it across? No, ma'am. It's not required that you'll have to be positive always. Are you positive always with your students especially? Today's students are like, correct, no?
Question was specific.
It differs from person to person. That's the key. How we articulate and then share differs from person to person. That's the key that we'll have to take away. That is why clarity is important. You can't do it monotonous. You can't do it with a framework. You can't do the same way how things. That's why I said, even with students, I'll come to that in a bit, but every batch is different nowadays, especially from, let's say, a decade. You see change in every batch, or how you'll have to deal with them. Yeah, that's to do with clarity. Correction. What is the correction point that you're trying to bring when you give feedback? You know the problem. You know what is favorable, ideal, or the destiny or change that you would like to see in that person or in that scenario. How do you bring that in is correction. Now, one faculty is having a gap and I'll have to give them feedback. Who has to change? The faculty has to change. But it's my responsibility to bring in that change. So what are we doing here in this sort of an orient?
What is the corrective action that has to be taken?
But what are we trying to do here with these two
Fill in the
people?
gap so that the faculty might be doing better.
That is one thing. We are trying to build a shared responsibility. That's more important for you to realize. It's a shared responsibility. How much that person should change, equally the onus is on you in terms of how you bring in that change. There are various ways of how to bring in that change. You know, the easiest way is what? What is the easiest way? Sir can answer. It's the easiest way of bringing change when you're giving feedback. Fear. Oi. When you talk to students, faculty also, if you don't do this semester we'll see, that's all. Next semester decisions will be taken. Instill fear. That's the easiest way of bringing in change. But do you think that will work? It used to, one point in time, and slowly the importance of it is used, especially with students. I mean, my era was the last. I mean, even there it was 50-50. For fear, bringing in change or we accepting things. Now they'll revolt. They'll be all over media, Insta, what is that, confessions, and they'll come with committees and all of that, and then try to derive that. Even with among the working ecosystem, it's changing now. I'll bring the generational differences. So the easiest way was fear, but now it's not working. Please, I don't want answers from you. Let's all acknowledge that even now we try to use that as, and it is used on us, whether we accept it or not. So again, a gap. We know it's a stupid thing or it's a thing which doesn't work, but still we are party to it. By inducing or by accepting has to be changed. So correction has to happen with a joint onus. How much of change I want in you, in whatever format that we are trying to give this feedback, equal responsibility is on me to get that in. If this is the ecosystem set, then feedback works organically. And the last point, again, there is coaching. We all know what is coaching. Oh, there's a lot of confusion between teaching, coaching, mentoring. Teach, coach, mentor. Train is okay, that's more of a derivative thing. But teaching, coaching, and mentoring. Please understand, we're talking about coaching here. We're not teaching. We need not teach in this feedback mechanism of how to do things, even with students or with faculty. When I bring the differentiating factor, it will be clear for you. Teach happens in a classroom, but when you're giving feedback to the student, it should coach him or her. Mentoring is different, huh? Don't get confused, because that's one more problem with faculty in higher education. You also mentoring model, right? You have to mentor students. Mentoring is different. The only difference between mentoring and coaching is mentoring is format based. Coaching does not have a format. That's the difference. Keep that in mind. Did you get it? Digestible? Mentoring has a format to it. Stop, how much to say, where to draw a line, where to escalate things, where to de-escalate things, and where to promote them or demote them or whatever. Mentoring. You do how much you can do. Beyond, if it's not on your control, you put it onto a different department, coach, therapy, whatever, counseling, different things. Whether it's with personal, professional, academic, whatever. Coaching, you take off that framework. That's when you become a coach. Whatever it is, if that person is available at 8 in the evening, which is a non-working hour, and if you have to have that conversation, you should have it. You should be available to have. That's coaching. With feedback, coaching only works. Mentoring won't work. Teach. That's why I've put coaching. That is why you this point where I also mentioned, when you take feedback as half your responsibility to get the change done, is where you accept to coach. If you say feedback is some one-line conversation we have and we go home, after that we don't want to talk about it. Mostly feedback happens like that, especially with its management or leadership and employees. That's how it happens. What time do you log off? 4:40. They'll call you and tell. And then after that, we don't want to see each other's face. Or Saturday, call you and tell. Or before a long weekend, they'll call you and tell. That's not feedback. That's cowardice. Are you getting it? If you have to coach and that person goes back with that feedback and then they say, we want some help with this, you will have to be there to help them. First thing is be there. Second thing, be able to help them. If you are not able to help them, that is, if you don't hold that ground, don't be in that situation to give feedback. You should not. What I mean to say is, let me put it in an example. All if you do research and then somebody tries to publish a paper and then you, HOD or senior or principal or whoever at status quo, having good accolades in publication and you don't have. You are not somebody who's achieved more than you in that ecosystem. Even if your higher ups ask you to tell that, please refrain. You are not in the status quo to be telling. Somebody who's on par with in research or who's new in research, tell. Somebody who's achieved more than you, they might be young, very new, pass out, finished NET or JRF, they'll be a good, they've started their PhD or whatever. They have to be given feedback from somebody head or somebody who's achieved more than. That is what I spoke about, make it more scientific. Just because you are there in the position and then the leadership tells you, don't go and tell everybody. If you do that, what will happen? The other person, they'll not take it. Second, they laugh at you. They laughing at you is fine. Because they are laughing somebody else who's not having that accolades also. Then that will become personal in the department or in the college. After getting personal, it will become dirty. I will not get into depth because all of you will face this, or will have faced this, or will face this as long as you are in this ecosystem. Right? Anybody who wants to contend or challenge, no, sir, it won't happen. No, boss. Impossible. Have any question, please share. Correction should be a dual onus. And only if that is accepted is where you can go and coach. And to coach, you should have that background. Simple. There's no rocket science in this. That's derived at this model. It has a matrix approach also, but it's too complex. Like, we don't want to have that kind of a ecosystem here. There's no 360. I checked it, so there's no all those fundamentals. So this is a good plane driven format for us to follow. And this holds good both for peer as well as students. Now bring in the radicality or the model that we saw. You can run through this quickly in a minute, then I'll try to give you some situational stuff. When we speak about care, there's approach and experience orientation to it. Yeah, again, this is with experiences in a lot of higher education institutions in the country. There's no north, south and all this, that kind of a funda here. Yeah, that's also there. That was also a challenge probably a decade ago. How many of you visited IISc, Indian Institute of Science? Visited? You met professors there or observed professors there? What's their average age? Minimum. Yeah, 50s, average. And somebody who's joining there for their masters in 21, 22. Do you think there'll be a good fitment? I almost fainted having 2-day intervention with those professors. So it took so much energy, they don't accept. They don't accept at all. There was a concept which we are all of you have heard of outside the box. You also would have told your students, think outside the box. When did you share, anybody can share any situation where you've told this to your students? Think outside the box, na? Come on, types. Anytime recently? You keep doing it? Who are the students generationally whom you are trying to deal with? Gen Zs? Let me tell you, Gen Zs don't have a box. You're giving them a box, no, to think outside. In their lens, there is no box. That box is yours, your background, your learning, your baggage. They don't have a box. I've spoken to Alpha, like you might have kids or wait for 3-4 years, they'll come for you. You're still in box. They'll pack you in a box. That's what they are not understanding. Math, I met one scholar, she cried. We went there as a resource. She was there outside, like some of the students listening. She came and sat. She cried. She has a supervisor, co-supervisor, PhD scholar, full time. They both are fighting. Supervisor is a mathematician, well renowned. I don't want to take name. He and Bhargava works together, field medalist, mathematician. The co-supervisor is from computer science, and her topic aligns with both. They both are fighting and not aligning, and it's her 4th year. Supervisor is 58, co-supervisor is 55. This girl, I think, is 28 or 29. Nightmare. I'm surprised when I see ISC in top 200. That is only because of the outcome. That is not because of the churning process inside. You go there, you lose your mind. Professors I'm talking about, nothing against them. They're all bright minds, but not for tomorrow. Not at all for tomorrow. Is that clear? So, when we're talking about where we are and how do we diligently put things across for these orientations, care, clarity, correction, and coach, we'll have to look at both approach and experience. So in terms of care, there are two things that we've personally and challenge directly. If I'm telling you'll have to care for somebody, it's not always warm and being soft and nice. You will have to throw in that element of challenge also for their benefit. How do you articulate it? It's good for you, sort of a fun. Again, as I told you, it's an integrated model. I told you, right? It's a matrix sort of a model. To be able to tell that, you should have done that. If you've not done that, don't tell. Refrain from giving that feedback. Go back, develop yourself, invest on yourself, then come there. That clear? So you will have to speak out to them directly, give clarity directly, give logic directly, etc. That's what we say care personally. Call them, and feedback is always should be one-to-one. Always one-to-one. Yeah, in rare scenarios, you can have maximum 3 people together of the same category. There's a differentiation model that we give. Like you have, take your simple example, a distinction, first class, second class sort of fund. Those groups you can have maximum 3 people and then talk. I mean, I just gave you an example, but yeah, you get the point. Otherwise, it's always one-to-one. So you have to care. When you care personally, it should be giving them confidence and challenge also. So that you do this and show, not in a negative sense, but more of a radical approach. The experience, what we have given, if you be too soft, what will happen? As soon as we say care, usually the assumption is we should not be rude, or we should not be curt, or we should not be shrewd, or we should not, make that person uncomfortable. How many of us in the toughest exam in life? Aram se. It's impossible, right? You will be discomfort. That kind of joy is what I'm talking about. You will have to build that carefully, not crossing that line of that opposite person hating you, but sliding that challenge in. So if you're too soft, there's no growth. If you be too hard, they'll be like, get touched. I mean, they might express it, or they might not express it, but that will be the outcome. They'll be reluctant to listen to you also. Is that clear? So that's the experience that we want to build. That's why I've put both approach and experience. There are other things also, like intervention. It's not required because we only deal with one stakeholder, majorly students and peers. Yeah, with clarity again. Direct communication, the element or the wow ingredient there when you're communicating is time. In some models, I'll show you how your sentences also should be, so that you will get relate better. Direct communication and transparency. You have to be very direct when you're giving feedback. Sir started off, world is big. The opportunities. There are 800 institutions in the city. No, you'll have to be straight. Based on how you've performed, based on the last review meeting, this is what the manager told us. This has to be clear and direct. So direct communication. And you should also be transparent. Transparent in what?
Information that
Who told this? When did they tell this? In what manner did they tell this? Should be transparent. If this ingredient is taken out, only direct communication. Some of them do. They'll be like, I don't lose anything. Anyway. If transparency is taken off, in some cases, it'll reflect on you. You have no role there. Decision is somebody's. Impact is on someone. But it'll reflect on you and you will be the bad guy. That is why transparency is important.
But then we have to be empathic also.
That's why care. Where we are telling them challenge, that's actually challenge is positive or negative? Exactly. So the negative element there, whatever you are thinking, no, we'll also have to be empathetic, positive, but the negative modulation there should be handled in care. First, comfort them, give them confidence with your care, and then set the ground that it's not going to be easy. That's what challenge personally. It's not going to be easy. Then move on to telling them what is it. Also be transparent. Again, what's the experience that we are trying to achieve there? We want to avoid friction and not be getting personal. As soon as there is friction, it'll be like because of him, because of her, he doesn't like me, she doesn't. This person only would have gone and influenced this. All this gamut of rubbish starts building. It's a cultural thing, actually. Here, I would like to bring that in. Feedback is very, how you would give feedback is very individualistic. But system also plays a role in whatever we spoke when we started off, no, how feedback is collecting. They play a role. There's one more ingredient like transparency that system should have as a non-negotiable, which is culture. If I ask you this question, all of you are here from a couple of years, months. If I ask you this question, what is the? I'm a faculty. Okay, I've applied to New Horizon, to your college, and I ask you this question: who's the culture there? What's New Horizon's culture? What will be? I've applied and got an interview. Before I make a choice, I want to understand the culture. When I ask this question, who's the culture? I want candid answers.
I got one answer. I don't know you well enough to tell them.
I told you the situation, right? That's why I'm joining. Called me. Finalization of things.
That's it. And we are asking somebody, that's what we got as
I mean, the context is that there is some establishment between us, and then, yeah. How will a stranger come and ask you, man? Come on. So that's the context. Somehow we met and we've spent some time and known. If I ask you this question, what's the culture of New Horizon? By the way, that response also gives me my answer. How is the culture here? Vibrant. Yeah, that's the point she made was true. But forget me, like we've been to so many institutions, spoken to managements, faculties, largely students. I can read, but I want to understand how do you put it across? Articulation.
Other than HOD as a faculty.
Yes.
Sir, you are free to
As a
do.
HOD, I will have a different say for the new faculty. As a faculty, it's
We'd love to hear all roles.
as a HOD, I will say welcome on board the right place you have chosen. Welcome to our family.
Sir, I have not still decided whether I'll take one.
HOD. As a faculty, didn't you get any other place? Students, you have to take care of winter.
I don't think we would say that.
I will say.
Sir, tell. Not you.
The stranger can be
You were
friend.
saying. You say that to a stranger.
If I change my question, if you were in my place, what do you express that I should have known before joining or verge of making a decision? Leave policy. Bad, huh? Here it's bad. How many leaves in a year do we get? CL is fine. Over I'm talking. It is. Let me tell you. Okay, let me break this to you also. For the colleges, including holidays and leaves, don't allow to you to cross days. Colleges like that. They pay well also. Would you work in such? If you're complaining for this, then it will not work.
We have around 25, 30
Days of VL.
vacation.
Sir, it'll cross 30, I know. If they say 12 CLs, it'll
Surely cost.
close 38.
That's only first Saturday.
We are only speaking about vacations.
That is also there, yeah.
Vacations and CL, sir. We have not touched the.
I think that should be taken off now. This will be my feedback to sir. Sir, Saturdays you've given off, no? First
First and third.
they don't want it, Anta. I'll tell. That is what I intended also. Even if I forget.
Yes, all characteristics are in.
Really, we're discussing situations. Any other thing that you want to share when I'm talking about culture? Talk about culture.
The increment process is too tight.
Too tight, rigid.
Rigid.
Growth is hindered.
Yes.
Is that what?
No.
How can you measure growth without increment?
Yes.
I don't look at it, but generally, growth has to have white, right? It's an integral.
Idea for increment is very different.
Have you given this feedback?
Yes. Yes.
They don't bother.
Yes.
And what have you done about it? You can do a lot of things. You've not chosen to, which is good about you. But any other thing that you'll have to share when I ask you about?
Policies keep on changes.
What do you mean?
Some policies.
One, two examples, if you can throw, I'll be happy. So it changes every year, huh?
And we will not use when it is written.
It's not communicated to you.
It is communication. Very subtle.
With care. With care. That's all about culture. So it's about leave, it's about appraisal, it's about how people work here. That's all. Do you think this is
The culture actually, if it's organization culture, the value beliefs we just followed inside the organization.
that's all?
That's also one of the parameters.
One of
Research can be a culture.
overall, sir. I'm asking general. How's the culture? See, that's why I said the context. I have had some sort of conversation, relationship building with any of you. I am joining here as an employee. How do you talk about the culture, work culture, organizational culture, overall, is what I'm talking about.
So I feel it is good. I cannot say other than I feel it is good.
That's what I asked in the beginning. What do you feel? You feel like individually, some of you. So happy. Happy. But he gave
I'm okay. He's a free bird.
Sir, until we are working in New Horizon, we can't blame its culture. Because if a stranger is asking us, how is the culture of New Horizon? If I am saying culture is not good, then they will ask me, then why you are working there?
Ma'am, I got the answer because nowhere I said, my question was not like blame the culture. My question was, what's the culture? You spoke negative, so I know how's the culture. I'm asking, how do you articulate it?
Sir, we made a mention. It is very
Festive
festive.
and vibrant.
It's good.
Long-term celebrations, vibrant.
more than home we celebrate here. Sir.
Yes, sir. More than home, we celebrate.
Good, no? In a way. Let me change one element and then see how you will respond. What is making you stay back in New Horizon?
Proximity.
Anything else? Nothing else? It's better if you're candid. I'll be able to sensitize this better.
It's really nice to work here because we're having so many events for students also and as well as faculties also. Actual event management, how we are going to conduct, that we are learning here. So in that way, it is really good, sir.
So, in culture or festivities, whatever, that ecosystem challenge.
That also we can.
Are students bothered about that?
We are bothered.
Because it's a metric. That is what I said when I mentioned the students of today don't have a box. You are in a box. Your management is in a box. Syllabus what BU? BNU. This syllabus, 30 hours, 40 hours, you have to complete this, that. Who's checking that? All of us know we are doing it for regulatory bodies. Students want it? No. When students don't want it, if you are giving it, what does it happen? What happens? When you're full or when you don't feel like eating, when you eat, what happens? That you're doing that. Anyways, that's a different gamut. But when we speak about what is making you stay, some of them said proximity. Ma'am spoke about the event and sort of a celebratory ecosystem. Anything else which is making any of you stay back? Or I'll assume these are the two reasons. Loud voice was proximity. Because we stay close by, we are coming.
Salary.
It's a quest for financial independence.
Quest.
I mean, it gives satisfaction. Independence.
That you can get from anywhere else, no? Why in Horizon? Staying back here. If you go behind that belt, there's a lot of B schools. Independence there, more you'll get.
But sir, no proximity, no both.
That's what. What's your priority? Proximity one. The culture of events is one.
Holidays, sir.
Leave.
Vacation leave.
All of you complain about the leave policies.
No, but I'm happy because we get all the Hindu festival leaves. We get first Saturday, third Saturday, semester break leave, whatnot. That is more than enough than a sick leave of one day.
Okay, for ma'am, we'll take it to be the leave policy or the leave framework is good. Good. Anything else? That's all. Some of you don't know why you are here. I'm just here. It's just been. I'm waiting to complete 1 year.
Salary, sir. On time payment of salary.
Yeah, huge advantage.
Yes.
What is the salary date? It's 10th, man.
And during COVID also they're not deducted.
I won't go there. That is subjective.
During the pandemic also they paid.
Subjective.
Completely, sir.
Subjective. That I would not.
During the pandemic also they paid the full salary.
That's what.
No.
Pandemic, I will not consider because that's a subjective scenario. But 10th is overboard the regulatory date also. Yeah, I don't know if you are aware, yeah, but still. But 10th comes, you are happy about it. Good. What else?
So, sir, our month starts at 10 to 10.
You're agile. That's how we'll put it. You adapt. Any other reason you stay in New Horizon? That's it. Whatever you spoke and gave as reflections for those questions will reflect here when I'm talking about correction. Mind you, some of you said salary is keeps me in. Some of you said I'm close by back. Some of you said culture here, and so on and so forth. All of that will reflect on your corrective approach. what is the first thing that's written there? You'll have to question the cause. Why this situation happened, you'll question, no? Depending on what answers you gave, that will vary. What I'm trying to say is some of you will not bother about why it's happening. You'll diligently do it because you're in the chair or you have the responsibility and wash your hands off. Some of you will as if it's your headache or responsibility and do it. Some of you will be midway. When it's intense, you do it. When it's not intense, you don't do it. This possibility is because of the organizational culture. The cultural thing to be serious, feedback or recruitment. If that's this is what will happen. I'm giving you a real face-off sort of a scenario where if you are in a situation to give feedback, what you feel inside about the institution will reflect. It will, with conscious, without conscious, whatever, it will reflect. If you feel good about something, like some of you said in COVID also they give salary. If you feel good about it, it'll reflect. So they give salary on 10th. It is due on 5th. I have EMIs which are due on 7th. It'll reflect. I stay in the gully behind. Reflect. I have to reflect. What I'm saying is it should not reflect. That responsibility is yours partially. Institutions majorly. Doubts there in the correction point. Cultural aspect is important. So unless the institution as a framework takes this elements like recruitment, feedback, appraisal, and make it a cultural thing, some of the decisions also, most of you mentioned in COVID also they paid salaries. Half of full they paid. And even then it happened on 10th, I'm assuming. That speaks some things about the management. Good, bad, I'm not judging that here. It speaks. So if they're there, whether can we make it better? Can we make the 10th 7th? Or can we make something else different is with you. That's what I'm trying to say. You as in the stakeholder, the teaching ecosystem, because it's run by you. And the head of the institution is only a medium. Majorly you guys work, right? Tomorrow if all of you go on strike and say we won't enter the campus, what will sir do? What will the HODs do? Put that scenario in place and think. So when we're talking about action, you question the cause and that will reflect on what you feel about the institution. What I want you to now do is, when you are in a situation to give feedback, please unlearn. Become neutral, plain. Those things. I don't want to keep giving you adjectives, but if you have that mindset, and if you're affected with something immediately, very recent, let's say you skipped an EMI, and then it was a trouble. Yesterday your house yelled at you for paying late. Today you have to give feedback to student or peer. Refrain. Tell I'll do it probably next week. Or see, this is something which is very ethical and empathetic on the personal ground, because feedback is given to a human. And because of your situation, the opposite person should not be taken into toss. Practically, I'm telling, push it. If not, you get into that zone. I've seen some people who just walk into the room. They'll be doing something, some event, let's say event coordination. Tomorrow there's a fest. Today there's a feedback session. You do 100 things. Suddenly you come, tell people some things quickly. You are not gauging their expression, what they feel, what their situation is. Blabber out. They'll feel bad, they'll feel good. Or do it for namesake and go off, finish that feedback form, sign. If that's the scenario, I think the institution is in a weak point, but it's with you to stop it. Department, individual, whatever. Operate. Management will not come and tell, no, today only you should finish feedback. This is how you have to do it. On management. Practically, if you put it across, Even the leadership might agree, that is principal or HOD. Clear? When we talk about correction, when you question the cause, you also have to explain the
Effect.
if this is how it goes, there's a situation, I have to tell you something. If this is how it goes, the outcome will be in this manner. And if the outcome is in this manner, this is how it will affect. Let's say I'll give you a situation. You're yelling at students. There's a faculty who is very rude to students. They're shouting at students. This feedback has to be given by the HOD to if you keep doing this, what will happen? Students will, now what will you tell? Like, they'll give you wrong feedback and it'll reflect on your appraisal. That's threatening. That is straight threatening. If I take that away from you, will you put it across? If you keep doing this, what will happen to the kid? How will it reflect in their classroom performance or how they perceive you? Then what happens? Then come to probably the revenue part of the institution. Then say it will reflect not only on you, on everybody. Different approach. I'll give you some scenarios. Are you getting what correction? That's the approach. But what are the experience that we are trying to achieve here? As I told you, outcome oriented. We don't want to be in that situation. We want the key stakeholder to be happy. Happy as in not please them, but they should be content about what they've come here for. One is learning, two is lifestyle. Today's kids' lifestyle, or probably the joy of learning with their fests and all that, and also the academics. So that should not be hampered. What you're doing is hampering that. That built up is what. Focus on key stakeholder. Again, if I'm talking about departmental thing, then teacher becomes the key stakeholder. If I'm talking about students, then students become the key stakeholder. And then about coach, as I told you, first thing is you should feel in correction that it is also half my duty. Otherwise, you'll not be able to do that. That's why I said, if a cultural dimension is troubling you, refrain. If a situational problem is troubling you, refrain, postpone it. Get lighter and then engage it to feedback. Next step is to coach. If you fail in correction, if you compromise in the correction phase, coaching becomes a joke again. When we're coaching, the approach which we've said is to add value and provide support. Add value, it's easy to tell, don't shout at people. Why are you shouting? Why is that person shouting? What is making them? What is their background? You don't know what is their background. Family, where do they come from? He or she might come from 40 kilometers away every day, riding a bike or driving something or in changing 2-3 public transport. Can you imagine the irritation built up? Which would is observe where are they shouting? First hour, last hour. When, what? That is the kind of, and if they're, give them whatever support which is required. Avoid allotting first hour to them, or probably give a smaller batch. That's the kind of support we are talking about. The experiences organization and go. You might leave the organization. Both of you might leave and go. You'll be somewhere. But still, you'll have friends or connects who'll still be in touch, and then you share a rapport or whatever. That goes a long way. If you become a coach in that sense. And trust me, education is a small world today. And then all of us need all of us. That's how I put it across. So if you want to get to the coach level, somebody, it's not where I call myself a coach and then people should accept. People should feel that I'm a coach. Whomever you are coaching, they should feel or perceive you as a coach. It has, in another sense, all these reach there. You've seen athletes, they have hurdles to jump on. Correction is a very huge hurdle for you to become a coach. Giving clarity is a hurdle. Sometimes you don't want to give clarity, or you don't know how to give, because you will only be acting with half info. Care, you'll not have a reason of why you should care. Care is empathetic. I told you, it's a neutral human behavior. But principal tells, HOD tells, somebody tells, not tells, management tells, you should pay. Because you are in a situation of giving feedback to somebody itself is a responsibility. Because all these hurdles is where you be the coach. The thunder difference between faculty and students. Two areas where we've been speaking, where feedback works or it should work. You're less worried about faculty feedback and more worried about student feedback because it reflects on your growth. Correct? Faculty feedback, who should bother? Probably coordinator, HOD or somebody like that will bother. It's not for everybody. Correct? I'm not bringing this from that point of view. I'm bringing this from peer point of view also, peer learning. If somebody in your department is struggling with certain aspects, can be anything, academic, managing a classroom. Managing a classroom is not an innate skill. A good teacher's quality should be managing a classroom. You tell me which college, center, academy teaches how to manage a classroom. We'll go and do a certification course there. Is it available? So when it's not available, if somebody is struggling with how to manage a classroom, who is coaching on this aspect? Who is observing, diagnosing, and then that this person has a challenge, and then coaching in New Horizon? Is that happening? Who should do it? Management should do it. See, these sort of elements are with you. The most important key stakeholder is student for a college. Important stakeholder, according to me, is the educator. These elements you should only bring. In some areas and spaces, the leader will try to bring, head of the institution. But unless all of you accept and digest this, it's a fail. In my opinion, you should bring it. So that also, if your peer is trying to struggle with classroom management, you should not be like, it's not my duty or let HOD take care or whatever. You are also giving feedback. How you give matters. Otherwise, personal friction. We saw earlier. It will become, why is he telling me or she telling me? Who is he or she to tell me? She is younger in age or he is younger in. All this will come. So apply that model. Care, clarity. What we are trying to achieve becomes important. It's not always when you're higher hierarchy and then feedback comes low. Students are higher than you in hierarchy. No. In a college ecosystem, they are in the lowest, but still they are taken into consideration for feedback. Why they are paying fees, which is going towards your salary? That's not the opinion that the managements have. But it's sad that you guys are not contributing enough to create that culture. You as in not personally you, but this segment in our country. That's why I started off. Teachers feel it's a taken away job. Like you can do it, anybody can do it. So after you come into the profession, you'll understand not everybody can do it. Let's look at the similar differences between these two stakeholders. How many of you align to this is what I want to understand. One is personal situations. Some of it which I also highlighted. What happened in the student's house the previous night? Mom and dad would have fought, single parent, they might have fallen off while coming to college, whatever. We don't know, but we'll react. Same thing, come to faculty. We don't know what would have happened in their personal situation. Family, kids, health, they've slept the previous night or no. If a faculty is well previous day, next day, do you have to adjust to your probably work less or take less burden? It's not there. That's culture. When I ask culture, you guys only shared about the problems. Salary coming 10th was a great joy. It's good, but still, it's coming late, even by what government of India has stipulated. That's also a fact. That's culture. You come in and you say, because of this, I was not able to rest well and I want a break, or I'll start a bit late, or I'll take a break and come back, or I can't take continuous classes, confidently and easily to the head, and being able to make the changes. And your peers also understand then accommodate that is culture. Now you tell me, this culture in the staff room, this is staff room thing, right? Departmental thing. Management should bring. Does management representative sit in the department? Principal sits in the department. If you bring this culture, for example, also, let's say you manage with your HOD coordinators and you guys, will principal have a problem? Yeah. What is there? They want a dashboard view, L1. Class shifts should not be missed. You take and you give a solution, they are okay. He or she is okay. So is the management. Are you trying to understand? Like, so this feedback is not only you giving to student giving about you, HOD giving to the junior. It's not hierarchical. It's sometimes also horizontal. You give to your colleague, your friend, your superior, your subordinate, everybody. That's culture. So, personal situation, you will have to find a way or make it a conscious effort to capture. Understand first before giving feedback. How are you feeling? Is it what's happening? You can gauge, come on, like if somebody is okay, not okay, etc. Second, the reason or purpose why they are there. Not the problem situation. If it's student, why he or she has joined that program? Why he or she is not studying? Why he or she is not done that work? The reason or purpose of why they are in the faculty also. Why he or she is in that profession? Why why teachers come to this profession? How many of you consciously after your masters or probably research degrees came to higher education? Organic progression, career progression. It's 50% or less. So, why I ask this is, feedback will be perceived by these two groups differently. If the principal comes and tells some feedback, the ones who put your hands up will perceive it differently from the ones who didn't put your hands up. And to equalize that is a cultural thing. Are you getting it? And who drives the culture? You. Similarly, somebody who's a local Bangalorean or Karnataka student will perceive a feedback differently from a different state student. Boy will perceive it differently from a girl. Last point. Faculty feedback. Millennial faculty will perceive it Gen Z faculty. Same person giving feedback. If you give it in the same way, gone to dogs. That's what I said in the beginning. Every person is different when we had that conversation. It is your responsibility to be malleable, to be able to give the feedback. Agile, adaptable, whatever you want to call it, the jargons. The generational difference is a massive nightmare for all of you. You're the direct hit the student community coming into. As I told you, because my research for over 5 years was generational studies, especially millennials and Gen Z. Millennials, early millennials, late millennials, and Gen Z. It was on their career choices, but I had to do a lot of intervention in terms of understanding the cognitive. Trust me, if I share that, it will be scary of how they are thinking. We have not even scratched the surface. The education system, you as a college are blowing a traditional trumpet and feeling that the noise, the music is coming is good. There is noise. There's a difference between music and noise. Music is soothing. Noise is frustrating. So for you it's soothing, for them it's frustrating. That's how you're saying. So how do you make it soothing for them? Work on it. Department-wise. But coming to feedback, again, if the framework only is having difference, feedback is definitely having difference. We saw a lot of gaps. Clear? Any questions or thoughts to be shared here?
So how do you differentiate organization culture and organization climate? Because you said culture is what just now is like.
Yeah.
How do you differentiate the organization culture, climate?
Culture, if I have to give you straight point answers, culture
I
is
understood culture as the research culture and all those things which happens. Climate is what you said. If a faculty is not comfortable in the classroom, some problem, there's another colleague or a peer who goes and support. That's an organizational climate. What I was thinking.
no.
Could be wrong. That's what I want
Yeah.
to say.
So see, culture is something which is sustained, and once the organization achieves it, there's no going back. You can only become better. There's no going back. That is culture. Good case studies can Princeton, Harvard. You see how they treat faculty and all, students, and how it's going. Culture. How many of your alumni have come back and paid corpus to the fund? That's culture. In there are institutions where colleges are able to achieve. Joseph's is able to do that. New York is able to do that. I don't think so. Jane, no. Christ, somewhat. Culture of the institution is able to do it. You achieve, that's culture. Climate is institutional. Like, for example, if I have to give you, New Horizon, you're a college now, right? Affiliated.
Yeah. Yes.
Let's say you want to become autonomous. As long as you were a college, the climate is different. The transition climate will be different. There'll be a lot of friction. There'll be because you would want to show the preparedness or whatever. Administrative load changes. Intensity on academics will change. How you look at evaluations will become strict. Like how that's climate. Once you become autonomous, the climate will change. Like more systems will drive. Climate is a focal thing. Cultural is a holistic sort of a funda. Holistic funda is built over time. And it's not one stakeholder effort. It's overall. But there the key sensitive stakeholder is management. If they have an amazing poof and if they don't act on it, so they are the ones who need to give direction, give a vision. That's why you see visioning exercise as management as a stakeholder. Nowhere else they come. If you look at even the regulatory bodies, they don't want management. That's how the funnel is. Only in the space is where management is otherwise no. And you sadly even appraisals the managements are doing. The system should be doing it. Pillars you're measured on. So you can calculate on yourself your performance. So that means you shouldn't have complained about of the appraisal. If people are complaining, it's not scientific. I'll give you an example. Usually, do you get feedback during appraisal? Yeah, you also get. Will it be acceptable? Whether you know is a different thing, but what feedback you receive during appraisal from the HR or principal or whatever, do you get or no? That system only is appraisals.
So what faculty do? They do a self-appraisal. For a self-appraisal, the points what they give, they have to attach the proof for it. They are aware of the. I mean, that's only they are aware. And
I'll give you an example, sir. I mean, this is slightly deviating, but it's important. In many steps, there also feedback is important. That's why I'm trying to. I'm not. Usually, I'll take a simple example. 4 pillars. Academics, that is your how you teach and your intervention, how differentiate you, case studies that you bring. Dynamism in delivery, teaching, learning. Second is the outcome, academic outcome, which means the result for an affiliated college, because BU results, it's not only. If you were an autonomous institution or a university, that won't come. I would have given it. Next comes research, because higher education as a pillar. And the fourth one would be administration, co-curricular, extracurricular. Let's take this to be the 4 pillars. 2.5 points scale. If somebody is not doing research at all, what do you mean by doing research? Stipulate, let's say, 2 Scopus papers or 1 project or / or ++ or whatever. If somebody is not doing that, that means they cannot claim the 2.5. So their maximum eligibility is 2.5. This clarity you have? Slab system for outcome, etc. So if that calculation you yourself can do as to what percentage of raise you will get, they should not be complaining. Is there any trauma that you've gone through and you want to share this perspective? Understood, not understood?
That form is clear. Because the challenge is getting the feedback 5 pointers is a challenge for many of us. To make it 5 pointers with the proof, we are not able to do it. That is what feedback from
This are set, the score, the slabs and all are set, right? It's given to you. Each of you are able to achieve different scores.
the form is clear that you do it is 5.
Do you know the format?
Yes, sir, that's what I said. The policy is different. They change
Before the criteria, completion of criteria, policy is very
How? I mean, okay, give me an example. I'm not able to. Change means what? They do everything and then they don't give you what is promised. Is that what? Oh, this is traumatic only then.
So that is clear, the format is clear, but I think the disappointment comes from the outcome. We are doing this.
So there are 3 parameters which is commonly mandatory to be achieved, like academic, outcomes, feedback and design. The only criteria which keeps on changing is research, because that is something which matches to
Subjective,
requirement.
yeah.
So that is where, we have almost like, they don't share it with us in the beginning of the year before we start with the academic year. They share it after 6 months of the change in the research policy. And we will have another 6 months to achieve that. It's not possible to be achieved within next 6 months. So that is where is the challenge coming for all of us.
So what is happening on this? Is there suggestions, corrective actions that you've communicated?
Yes,
It is being communicated to
This
us.
time, they introduced something called
Industrial workshop.
industrial workshop. Now, for that, you have to be a part of industry. And most of the time, whichever are open, not necessarily they give you a certificate. It could be open or when somebody is talking about public speaking,
Correct.
image,
Yeah.
brand.
Any engagement.
Yeah. So mostly the kind of industry workshop they expect us to do, when you go and ask, if you go to Bosch and then you say, I want to attend one of your workshops, why would they let me in? You are in teaching line. Why do you have to have industry oriented? Then you should have been in industry, right? This kind of a criteria is not something which is we can fulfill and not is applicable to us either, right? So when you tell us that, and how are you expecting within 4 to 3 months, I'll find a workshop which is industry oriented.
Genuine problem.
These changes actually affect us because we are not able to do
Why
it.
it directly affects us is it's a same form for engineering as well as commerce.
Yes, commerce.
And majority of the organizations which are conducting industrial
Or
workshops
engineering.
are engineering based.
They are
Like I
engineering.
said, Bosch conducts only engineering based workshops.
Plus, online is not acceptable. So they're not offline.
And offline is very expensive. If you want
Sometimes
to
it's
go
not available.
outside.
Most of them, they don't want to hold it in a plan. Today it's like morely, even if you see FDP and all, they're also online. That mode is always there. Unless and until they are doing it in a full-fledged, then you don't expect a certification. 1,000 of people in one.
Correct. So when you've communicated this, what's the response?
We're waiting for this.
We are waiting for response. Yes.
How have you communicated this?
Through letter.
What have, I mean, I want to know the contents. Like, what have you put it across? That this is a challenge because of these reasons.
These are the reasons. And instead we are interested in doing few more FDPs.
Because we have 30-70 rates. Ours 70 is engineering line.
Okay, this is one way. Has the management or whoever has decided that HR or has told you why they want to achieve that, like industrial. Why do they want to achieve that?
No, that's not a why. No,
There's no purpose.
They have not told you why they want to achieve this.
Yes, sir.
not everybody knows.
Very well. It's because personally I asked, what is the reason of who asking us?
Putting that as a parameter. Yeah.
The response was that it's related to place. Unless and until you are trained, you can't expect students to learn.
Wonderful. That's what I wanted. So, articulation. Let's come back because feedback. That's the core thing that we're talking about. If we articulate it this way, I'm telling this because Sir also shared one critical incident in the beginning where all of you collectively protected the faculty, right? Like collective voice, collective articulation. Have you heard of it? If you put it across and see them asking for an industry increment is not wrong. Let me tell you that. That's why it's same form and all. It might be an operational gap, but logically, the non-STEM guys also want industry alignment. There's no harm, wrong, etc. in that. There are some advantages also because of the corridor you're located in and so on and so forth. I'll tell you what's the challenge. They have not given you time and resource to be able to achieve that industry connect. Let's say out of a week, they gave you 20 hours to be able to achieve that. Depending on your level, that is assistant, associate or whatever. Still you won't be able to achieve it. If they give you 20 hours a week, let's say for the first 1.5 months of a semester, a roster basically, for you to achieve an industry increment and do the deliverable. Is a 3 hours a month. You go out, talk to them. I mean, this will be captured and measured. Still, you will not be able to do it.
Sir, workshop opportunities I feel are very rare.
Ma'am, have you tried it? By going out, talking to people
Yes.
for 20 hours a week and more effort. Have you taken? How did you do it? You took a leave or something? Ask for them to do it. So when they ask you to do this, you're trying to friction is coming in terms of how you feedback towards that. They will have that in mind. You've not done it, but you are things forth. It also personally, friction personal. You ask them for this or go by an experimental mode. I mean, the leader, someone only or associate professor and above only should be able to give this responsibility or something. Do an experiment. No institution, nothing has worked with a based model. Do an experiment and see what is required to achieve that, rather than just dumping it on faculty. Yeah, the way if they articulate the features, even how the organizations, industry. I know because I work with some of them. The other side also, academic comes to them, and the way you come is actually sad. How do you approach a industry or a company? Okay, Bosch is a technical. We want to go to IT. Take any IT company. How do you approach them as an academic?
If you know somebody if I have a friend in IT, I would approach, probably would ask if there is anything going on in your company or any other company that you can refer me to.
Any other orientation? What is in it for the company if they come and help you?
Probably I'll discuss with them that we are looking for student placement or school student skill enhancement.
As soon as you say placement, they close the door at you. What is in for the company if they help you? Answer that question. Why the hell should I waste time on you? Feedback. Which I want to give you is purpose. We read a lot of times. Put the purpose and what is in there for them. have an inclusive approach. I'll tell you what we did with some of these startups and companies. We were refining our policy because Gen Z, they what they want. You get them a 20 lakh package. You get them a 10 lakh package, they're rejecting. Some fellow is taking 2 lakh package with a good academic score. Somebody with less than 60% wants 12 lakhs, aspirational. Any placement coordinator here, their ears off. What's happening? What do they want? And they're not expressing. Facing this, they're trying to refine the policy. Okay, now you are facing more problem of Gen Z in workplace. The companies are facing more problem Gen Z in workplace. They will only be facing. No. Call them to solve the problem in a systematic way. Your department or whatever. See if they don't come. They will. But yeah, inclusive. Again, I don't want to spend time on giving you what models and build policies. Still, interventions. You do know roundtables, cons. Fit that there. You'll easily be able to achieve your numbers. What's your class strength? 60? Aram. Who has to do this structure? Management? Should principal alone die? Should HODs struggle? Is it only their responsibility? Faculties only can do it off without HOD or principal's permission. Culture. If culture is not there, right. And when I asked about culture, have you heard of Wellinkers? Wellinkers Institute, Wellinkers School. How many have heard of Symbiosis? Do you know their culture? Each of them have a model, sir. Wellinkers will measure and give you work. For example, 8 hours teaching, research, 5 hours industry engagement. Your only job is to do that. If you can't do, you'll have to mention why you can't do. That's all. Nobody will come and tell you do beyond 8 hours. Some faculty is absent. Fill that in. They won't tell you. This semester you are not able to do your research. They'll not question you. Can research happen when however you want? It's a year-long thing, right? They give you that. You know who developed this? The faculty and the student alumni who passed out industry, they came to the policy, drafting committee was formed. Some of them were alumni. Problem statements were given by whom? The victims. They were the ones who drafted it for them. And the management did only one thing, questioning. They behaved like, they said, why should we do this? This is what is the logic? What rationality behind this? How do you justify this merit? All answers were given, approved. Do you also know what's the minimum raise? That will be more interesting. Minimum percentage of increment. 22. Minimum base will happen. Basic if you follow. If you achieve metrics, you. Have you ever seen people from Wellinkers applying to places? This is the reason. And do you think in that culture there is no feedback? Students give, faculty give, peers give. They have a 360-degree format. Sit with her, try to talk. Professor Madhvi Lokande, she's the director in Bangalore for a conference or some resource to become networking with. know their practices. The Pune has this benchmarking. Bangalore is also there almost. Still yet to come, but they're almost there. Very few and I'm talking about Bangalore. No, I'm not giving you a GAN of some US or UK university or whatever. In a lot of places, how you articulate is the key. That's largely to do with feedback. The difference, as I told you, if you go to a startup, they treat you differently than how a corporate treats you. I'll tell you one more thing. Most of your students want or startup as workplaces over big companies. Have you done this study? Like, if your student wants package, order of priority, do they prioritize package more? They might be asking, I want the high package or whatever. But when it comes to choice, what is their priority? Work environmental, inclusion, perks. Salary is the top 1, 2, 3 scored element for Gen Z and young. So if you're hunting for corporate companies, you're again doing wrong. Are you including startups? They'll not have time to listen to you. How to bring startups is a different ballgame from how to give corporates, like what I told you. Be inclusive. Give this feedback to your higher ups. Solve and show. Then probably it might work for you. Coming back to feedback. The similar differences are clear. Like, you have any questions? Gender also matters. Male, female. There'll be some of the sadly, there's a complaint, not a complaint, like a comparative statement which is made. Like, in education, mostly women only work. So they win in most of the share. It's how they want. Do you agree? Definitely no. And in fact, you'll be feeling the opposite. This glass ceiling and leadership positions are crunched for women. Women empowerment. Yes, no. Subjective. But when we are trying to speak or give feedback, there is a conscious difference between how they perceive it. Ma'am, you're not teaching well. Sir, you're not teaching well. How they take it is a straight difference. I don't want to get into the details, but studies have shown, I won't tell, studies have shown. In fact, institutional HRs, we do a lot of intervention. They should be trained on mapping this and then treating them differently. Not in terms of what you receive, but how you should be dealt with. It's not the same. Both of you get the same appraisal form. How many of you are the main bread earners of the family? See the difference? How many of you are secondary? How can both of you have the same appraisal form? HR we train. There is difference, boss. If you're the main bread earner, what we should ask you and how we should treat you, not what we should give you. I'm not telling you they should get more. What information to collect to decide performing will change. The orientation is changing. So you can't bring HR from corporate and ask them to be HR in an institution. They have to be trained. You're getting it. This is also feedback intervention. So differences in gender, differences in generations definitely is affecting. Younger faculty, there's a complaint, they don't stay for more than 1-2 years. Generate, feed them back with information, resources, different. After this, I'll only be giving you the models for you to consume, and we can have if there are any questions, critical incidents that you have to solve. But this is what is the actual thing that you do on a daily basis. Like when we talk about feedback, how we put it across, traditional and radical. Traditional is good job. That's what you tell, no? The students also, after an event or job is having that orientation and outcome or an experience. Experience is it avoids discomfort. Now, there's a student who is capable of getting distinction, but he or she scored a bit less. Instead of 75, there's 20, for example. It's a good job. You are avoiding discomfort. If you say, what, so less, sir? What happened to you? What's wrong? What went wrong? There's discomfort. So to avoid that, what do? 5% only. There'll be a lot of nice job, good job. Some people also tell keep it up. Nice but vague. Why vague? Why is that?
It's a common.
Definition of good differs from person to person. That person that is good, that you all, that is why vague. But what's radical? If somebody is trying to put across a research report or a policy document or any problem statement, your analysis lacks depth if you make that statement. They ask for more. What do you think? That's culture. What do you think should be better? There you'll have to be clear and caring. If you don't have that clarity, to have clarity, you should have done it. Again, I'll go back to what we spoke a couple of minutes. You've not done it. Don't do it. If you've done it and you're strong in that, you can give the clarity with care, of course, being empathetic, etc. State that statement. Tell them how to make it better, which will drive growth. That's radical. Remember, feedback should not be functional. Functional as in just there for being there and operating as a system. That's how it's there now, I think. Every semester, students are sent a link. They take it and they use it however, whenever they want to use it. Not working. Clear? There are some situations, but again, we've spoken a couple of them, so I'll give you some models. This is an easy model to remember, SBI model. You're too inclined, no? State Bank of India. So the SBI model is situation, behavior, and impact. Mostly what we spoke, 4 C's. The 4 C's fit most of the feedback models in the world. That's how we've been able to derive for the Indian subcontinent. By the way, the 4 C's are all the copyright process for our organization, but we'll be able to share that. I'll share this deck also with, I think, the coordinator. You guys can have a look, but it'll fit everywhere. Look at the situation. You describe the situation, but it happened. Let's say in the department. You describe the situation in one. As a neutral person, don't take sides. Then you also describe the behavior. Who said this? I saw it. Not I feel. Okay, straight. And then you mention the impact. This is what happened because of that. So refrain or continue or whatever. If it's a good positive thing, progression. If it's negative, try to chop it off. That's a simple thing. SBI format, remain easy. Why we give models is every time you get into that, you have to give it to your superior, subordinate, student, etc. This should come to your mind. Easy retention is where models come in. SBI. Yeah. There's another one, coin. The coin model. Connect, observe, impact, and next step. Progression. So look at some of the statements. Some of it might derive to that level. So if you are connecting or you were expressing the situation like in SPI, you'll have to be very neutral. At the meeting yesterday, on our Zoom call this morning, very neutral. Ground is what you'll have to describe. When it comes to the observe part, the behavior part, I noticed what you said, what I saw. You should never use things like I feel. If I were in your place, nobody wants that. If the person receiving your feedback is your son, daughter, husband, wife, aunt, uncle, fine. If it's a professional setting, because I feel if I were in your place, you did wrong. According to whom? According to that person, will be right. You should make them they did wrong. The next one, the impact of all this was all this. You should a generic progression. It's the team to feel, not I felt, not principal felt, director felt, management is felt, and principals or the leadership tells. No, the management, you blame it on somebody. HOD still principal told, principal tells management told, management will tell principal told. You never said, you will never know who told ultimately, but you are out of the system. What's wrong? If whatever is wrong, prove it. That's why we saw transparency, clarity, and all those aspects. And next steps is the impact. Like in SBI, impact in our 4C approach, it's the coach approach, your zone for coaching. So if next time this happens, it would be better to avoid, refrain, or whatever. That kind of an element. What I would like to, there again, that's why I said coaching. I would like you to do this, will only be good for you if you've done it. You should have that status quo. And then my preference, again, if you've done it. These are some of the models, again, COIN and SBI. So with this, I think we are through of this conversation. Again, this is something for you to take away, because when we were doing that 4C approach, when we were trying to build a funnel a little over 4 years to understand how students are impacted, faculties are impacted, etc. One thing what we observed, that's why I said we've Indianized it, is innate difference is behavior. Culture to culture, I'm talking about country to country. We're very close to China. Chinese and us, we're talking about professional relationships and feedback and sort of thing, but they also have a lot of variation because of conditioning of mind. That's why we Indianized it. So it's not evaluation. Feedback is put in a format where we are evaluating you. I have authority, and it's not authoritative. It's always. That's why coach. It'll go a long way. It's beyond this room. It's beyond institution, department, etc. That's how feedback should be given. I'll leave you with that. If you have any questions or thoughts, you'll have to ask or share.
How is the feedback things in UK, because you were there as a student? How did you give, and what was the answer?
They're very candid. I'll share one of my narration experience. I applied for a leave, I think in November. Usually the program starts in September there. I did my first term and I applied for a leave in end of November. Leave as in not holiday leave sort of thing. Leave is break from the course. Why I reached there is, I think for over a month, I traveled to Wales, across Manchester and so on. Also went down to England, London and all those places to understand the job scenario, like usual tendency, right? Once you finish your master's, one thing, but most of the entry-level jobs said was, sorry, we don't encourage Asians. These were the exact words. Sorry, we don't encourage Asians. By Asians, they mean us, Chinese, Pakistanis, Bangladeshis, so on. So, Afghans. We don't encourage Asians. What is your situation after spending so much? So I thought, let me take a break and then to intervene, because that's a possibility there. You can go on a break. When I did that, it got escalated because of my academic. And then they said to somebody, I just have a name, and Professor Linda Rose, and then don't get a designation. Student affairs constantly calls me and mails me to fix up this date. So I agreed on one. I had to leave. I had come back on Christmas, and then I gave them a date one day before I was flying down. And then this conversation happened. I went there. She made me very comfortable, sit and then express what was the challenge. I blabbered. Candidly, this is what I felt. There was no change in expression of that lady. As when the conversation started, how calm she was, she remained the same. Constant two things is what I'm able to tell this now because of all my experience. But then constantly two things is what she did. Trying to nurse the emotions. It's okay, like this is how. Second, trying to offer support. Put you on to career. This is what we can do. This is a possibility. We can do exclusive things for you, professional development. There's a lady called Marian. So she called her, and this is what give some edge to your profile. And this is what. These were the two things. I came back. I flew like for my break, and I received a mail after a week telling them with so and so was held in this time. I hope they asked how the conversation. They were only trying to find out the feedback on how the whole thing was set by the student. I wanted a 0.10 scale sort of foot feel. And then where I saw the designation of the lady. It was Pro Vice Chancellor Student Affairs. I didn't know. Had I known, I wouldn't have spoken in that tone and manner. That's the culture of them. And they took it in the right spirit. I came back, I was interning with Fidelity. They constantly kept in touch. They escalated it to British Council. That's why I got a program to do from London School of Economics. You know how much I paid for it? I didn't believe. 2 times I cut their call. Stop joking. Third time when I got a mail is where I entertained. I said, again, I'll have to pay fees for this. I'm not interested. No, sir, you only have to pay registration. How much is that registration? I only paid £220 for a program. Because I was on break, they didn't want my academic rigor to take a dent. So they provided me that by the time I joined back. Based on that conversation where I almost abused them. Almost. I didn't use language, but still almost abused them. That's how they took feedback. After I joined, got my break, that's how they captured it. Even now I'm in touch with a lot of professors. How work, future of work, gender sensitivity, huge thing there. They treat males and females differently where they're supposed to be treated. More law in, okay. All of you make CVs and resumes. You're not supposed to put your gender. And you put one personal in the end. Married, unmarried, which city you come from, what language you speak, kid or no, spouse and all. Supposed to ask that. It's none of their business if you are a male, female, other gender. It's none of their business if you're married, have kids. Usually you have complaints of women like, if you're new, avoid taking because they'll plan family, maternity, business. I have a small kid, how will you nurse? Is your in-laws at home? How far do you come from? Neither you are supposed to share, nor they are supposed to ask. And if somebody gets to know that, if let's say the interviewer asks you this, you can come back and write to the HR, they'll take action on the employee. You have not joined them, but they will take action on the employee. That's how they take feedback. Most of the statutes, sir, is what we've adopted, India. We don't follow it, that's all. Even road, I saw while coming also, road rules. Slow moving vehicles are supposed to be where? Left or right? Usually in the right only in India. I was surprised. I took back the law, regulation and all said, it's left. In fact, put some of my students to do study why this is happening. You go and ask the slow moving vehicles, small auto, why are you slow moving left halwa? And there is fine, sometimes RTO catches. Why? In the left, they say there's always blockage. People will park, stop. For me to navigate a big vehicle, it's tough. That's why I always be on the right. You can go. It's practical. We've not solved it. We've copied, pasted it, put it in. Something else is happening. People are happy. That's how institutions are also running. So our effort is to solve that problem by doing interventions.
Even in regards to that, as one of my friends walk towards the right side. Then I asked him, we should walk on the left side. I said, if a car is going to hit me, I would see. But from the left, if I'm going, like, if it hit me from the back.
You're walking as a pedestrian. That is also a scenario. I mean, I was not in the student housing. I had rented a house outside. And then outside the house, there's a footpath, right? What you call a pavement, what they call. They were digging it. And 1 week earlier, they came and then gave a notice. And I didn't observe a notice. I kept quiet. Because I not filled and signed it, they came and knocked at 8 in the morning. Said, what is it? They asked, do you have anybody on wheelchair? Is there an infant or an elderly? Should we put a ramp for those arrangements? When I said no, they took, and then they went in. For 2 days, there's so much drama. Pedestrians, they'll dig and leave. Like you go to grave. You go to grave sort of. For 2 days. And by second day, it was completely done. By the time I walked back, it was done with tar. Here, they don't bother if there is an infant, wheelchair, nothing. They'll dig and leave. You fall. If you fall, then we'll do compensation. Nothing here. Any questions you have pertaining to session, any thoughts, incidents you want to share? Differ also, please go ahead. Nothing, huh? Again, it shows some sort of a culture. It's 4:15 and 4:40 punch out.
It's a salary day.
Salary day. So it comes when you are in campus or after you go back. Some places they give after 6. So you don't get happy when you are in workplace. Anyways, thank you so much for hearing out. If anybody wants to have a conversation or reach out, my mail ID is with ma'am. You can share. I'll also share this deck with you, ma'am. You can circulate that with all. Thank you guys for being able to do it. Careful. Good.
Sir, can I get your Instagram account?
Get BP.
So you can sit in the States. That's fine.
I don't usually take picture.
No.
I'll be here. It's get BP.
You can take the seat, sir.
Sorry? Easy for you, no? Go ahead, please.
No, sir, please. Take this.
That's for my
Yeah, sir. We need it. क्या करना है?
Mic.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir, for the engaging continuation. I believe we all will reflect on how feedbacks are to be given. Also, the most important thing, care, clarity, correction, and coach. Yeah, thank you. As we come towards the close of today's session, let's take a moment to reflect on the key takeaways. Now, I would like to invite Assistant Professor Ms. Tanvi K to present the report of the day. Oh.
Good afternoon, everyone. To summarize today's session on the topic Radical Candor in Academic Feedback, the session highlighted that feedback often fails when it's unclear, biased, or not given in a proper way. It emphasized the importance of giving feedback with clarity, correction, and coaching. The concept of radical candor was explained as a balance between caring personally and challenging directly, supported by the clear communication and transparency. It was discussed that effective feedback should question the cause, explain the effect, and provide the support to bring the positive change. The session also pointed out that being too soft leads to no growth, while being too harsh creates resistance among individuals. It stressed that feedback should not be personal but focused on outcomes and improvements. Differences among faculty and students, including the generational and personal factors, were also considered while giving feedback. The contrast between the traditional vague feedback and clear, meaningful feedback was clearly explained. Models like SPI and COIN was introduced as useful tools for giving structured feedback. The session emphasized that feedback is not just evaluation, but a process of shaping behavior and encouraging growth. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for that clear and well articulated summary. It truly captured the essence of the entire session. Now it's time to express our gratitude. Now I would like to invite Assistant Professor Ms. Jyoti Shetty to deliver the vote of thanks.
Okay, so good afternoon, one and all present here. As we come to the end of this session, I, Jyoti Harsha Shetty, Assistant Professor, take the proud privilege to propose the vote of thanks for this enriching 5-day national level faculty development program on Beyond the Horizon, expanding mindsets for academic excellence. First and foremost, on behalf of our institution, I extend my heartfelt gratitude to our respected chairman, Mr. Mohan Magnani, President Sir, Mr. Dharmesh Magnani, and our principal Sir, Dr. R. Bodhisatwan, for their constant support and encouragement. I thank our HODs for their meticulous planning and seamless execution of this faculty development program. Your dedication and hard work ensures that each session was meaningful, engaging, and impactful. I would like to express my sincere and heartfelt gratitude to our distinguished resource person for the day, Dr. Bhanu Prakash R, for his truly inspiring and insightful session on Radical Candor in academic feedback. Sir, thank you for sharing your knowledge and experience with us. Your thoughts on today's session have given us meaningful perspective that we can carry forward in our academic and professional journeys. I request Kampa ma'am to kindly come forward and hand over the token of appreciation to our esteemed resource person of the day. Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, ma'am. A special note of appreciation goes to all the participants from across the nation, both online and offline. Your interest, active participation, and eagerness made the session interactive and successful. I would also like to extend my sincere thanks to our management, Ms. Pallavi, and the whole organizing team for successfully organizing this 5-day national level faculty development program. I would also like to acknowledge the support staff and technical team whose behind the scenes efforts made this event smooth and efficient. With this, I once again thank each and every one of you for being a part of this wonderful journey. We look forward to your continued participation in upcoming sessions. Thank you once again. Have a wonderful day. Thank you.
Now I would request everyone to kindly for the national anthem. Thank you, everyone. Wish you all continued success and excellence in your academic journey. Thank you. Yeah, and please join us for the session outside.